Test.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And at this time, I would ask our Chief Legal Officer, Bob Fry, to call the roll.
Good afternoon, directors. Please indicate your attendance when I call your name. Director Smith?
Yeah.
Director Slash? Director Fagan? Director Wilson?
Present.
Director Hahn? Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Bob. The next item is our awards and commendations. And our president and CEO, Jennifer Purrs, will present those awards and commendations we have for December. Is that right? They're for December?
I'm sorry.
It says for December.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, some of the awards, yes, are December.
Okay, all right.
So thank you very much, Chairman. Jennifer Pierce, President and CEO, and I am proud to share with you this month's awards. So we'll start off with December's Safe Drivers. The following operators were recognized for their safe driving for the month of December and has always received a National Safety Council patch, pin, and certificate. I'll call attention to the first gentleman on the list, Mr. Myron Cornett, who is a coach operator on our fixed route service. He has been with us for 22 years and has 20 years of safe driving under his belt. So congratulations and thank you to Myron for your great work. Next is our January Operations Employee of the Month. Congratulations to Shalonda Moss, a radio controlled dispatcher with our dispatch team. The person that nominated Shalonda told me that she exemplifies excellence. She consistently delivers outstanding service through clear communication, calm and effective problem solving, and timely support for operators and staff. Her reliability and teamwork are instrumental in ensuring smooth operations. She arrives on time for every shift, ready to contribute, and sets a strong example of dependability for the entire team. Her professionalism, attention to detail, and unwavering commitment to operational success make her an invaluable asset. Shalonda goes above and beyond to provide guidance and support, ensuring that staff and operators have the necessary resources. Her consistent performance reflects true dedication to excellence and serves as an inspiring model for others. So congratulations to Shalonda Moss. Next, we have our January Garage Employee of the Month, Mr. Keplin Carson. Keplin is a senior general laborer on our facilities team. The person nominating him let me know that he has consistently stepped up and shown strong initiative to fill in when they're short-staffed. He proactively ensures buses are moved to the correct locations and continues to follow daily operational best practices. He is extremely prepared, which is crucial and highly valued within the department. He has consistently met and exceeded daily performance expectations as reflected in his KPI results. His strong performance and reliability demonstrate a continued commitment to Indigo and its operational standards. So congratulations to Mr. Keplin Carson. And then lastly, I am very excited to congratulate our Chief Operating Officer, Annette Darrow. Annette, you want to stand up so we can all, yay, yay. Annette's been with us 30 years. I have had the pleasure of working with Annette for more than 20 of those, first as her consultant, and now with her as our wonderful COO. So congratulations. We're thrilled to have you on the team. Indigo is incredibly lucky to have you. And I hope we get 30 more out of you. And that is all I have.
I was just wondering, Annette, could you clear something up? The chairman and I have a bet. Did you start working here when you were 8 or 9? Thank you.
Thank you. Now we go to committee reports and item number 3. And without objection, we will enter into the record the Governance and Audit Committee report for its meeting on January the 8th, 2026. Are there any objections or comments? Okay, we had a very long, very productive meeting. Job well done by the committee, and we covered a lot of ground. So, thank you. Okay, I guess let the record show that that committee report will be entered into the record. Next is our regular agenda, and we'll begin with action item A1, and that is consideration approval of the board minute meetings from December 18th, 2025. Are there any questions or comments from the board members after reviewing those minutes? Okay, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of the December 18th, 2025 board meeting minutes? Please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Let the record show there are no nays, so they are approved. Action item A2 is consideration approval of task order number 9, and that covers the East Campus Garage Design Services, 30% to 60%. Director of Capital Assets, Andrea Hermer, will make the presentation.
Good afternoon, directors. My name is Andrea Hermer. I'm Senior Director of Capital Facilities Modernization and Asset Management. That's a mouthful, but I'm here today. I'm very excited to present an action item seeking approval of what would be task order 9 with CDM Smith, who is the designer of record for our East Campus project, our new construction, renovation and new construction project with federal funds. The amount of these, where we're at now is that this is, as you said, task order 9. So there's been several task orders before. This particular task order, we just completed at the end of this year, 30% design. And so this task order is to allow us to go from 30% all the way to 100% and permitting. Okay, so it's really exciting to be seeing that timeline develop. The total amount of that task order, which is about the work period, is probably about a year in Q1 of the next year. And the total amount of the task order is $2,914,464. Like I said, this task order is going to take us through completion of design. We will also come back in April and hopefully be seeking approval of our CMC, our construction manager as constructor. So things are really picking up and moving along nicely in that project. I also wanted to highlight 2 things. We do have on this task order DBE participation, and I've noted that as 14.4% with respect to this particular task order. But I also noted that for the overall contract, which is basically everything we've done in the project, the DBA participation as proposed and as the goals was 19.49%. But if you actually, I went back and we ran the numbers, if you look at the actual spend, that percentage is 29%. Because we have realized quite a bit of savings in the last 2 years under some of those task orders. So I know I highlight in the task order that what we've encumbered to date under the contracts is, $5.3 million. But when you actually do the actual spend, we have only spent we've spent much less. And so right now, we've realized a savings of we've only spent 54%. Let me say it that way, 54% of what we had proposed through task orders 1 through 8. So, pleasant to say, we won't end up spending that full 5 million. It's going to end up, if we stay on track with this task order, we'll end up about 4.2 million, and that'll realize about a 1.2 million savings, assuming we spend everything in the next task order. So wanted to highlight that. So happy to answer any questions.
Did I see simply that the RFQ went out for the management?
Yes.
contract? Okay. I
The
thought.
RFP went out January 6th.
Okay.
So it's out on the street, so to speak. And like I said, our plan is to hopefully bring you a contract, an awardee, and a contract in the April board meeting.
Fabulous. Thanks, Andrea. Are there any questions or comments from the board members? Okay, if not, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of task order number 9, the East Campus Garage Design Services?
Second.
Thank you. There being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Let the record show that there's no nays and it passes unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Next is action item A3, and that's consideration and approval of 2026 Governance and Audit Risk Universe heat map. And Brian Atkinson, Director of Governance and Audit, will make that presentation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board and Indigo staff. My name is Brian Atkinson, Director of Governance and Audit here at Indigo. The purpose of action item A3 is to recommend that the Board of Directors authorize our President and CEO to review and receive the governance and audit plan for 2026 and heat map. A little bit of background: during 2025, with the input of management, members of the board, and subject matter experts, we compiled a list of possible audits for 2026 and developed a heat map to rank those. Out of that discussion, we developed our 2026 audit plan, which, as Chairman Hahn mentioned at our Governance and Audit Committee on January the 8th, we discussed in a lot of detail. And so I wanted to report that we met with 43 members of the Indigo staff management and our board chair to develop the list of items. And so I'd like to present our 12 reviews that we recommend for 2026. And that includes a payroll process review, bus rapid transit stations and stops review, invoice processing and approval of workflow process for invoices, our procurement process review, Fair Chance Program Review, Paratransit Taxi Voucher Issuance Process, the Carson Center Security and Facility Review, Fit for Duty Process, and a review of that policy, which is new in place, so we're going to hold that review toward year end to look at the new policy, how it went into place, and the outcome of that. Our hiring and onboarding process, a review of our transportation system, training review, and our public transportation agency safety plan. So those are the 12 recommended audits or reviews that we want to do for 2026. And of course, we would add anything that came along ad hoc that the board or staff felt was necessary that we look into. Any questions about our upcoming plan for 2026?
Hey, Brian, why don't you explain just a little bit what a heat map for
Okay.
our friends in the
Sure.
watching, what that means?
Absolutely. So we met with, as I mentioned, the 43 people, and we asked them individually what types of projects that we have going on, processes that we may have at Indigo, or anything that they feel would be consideration of a risk or something that we just need to review that maybe could be done better. So out of that interview, we compile a list of items that are brought up. We had a list of 125 comments that came out of that group of 43 people. And then we ranked those in order based upon how often was the same subject mentioned, and then what was the severity or risk of the subject they brought up. So we placed those on a map, rating them from the most severe or highest risk to least. And then we picked our 12 out of from like the center of that map to the most risk or most concern or most often brought up. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Rick, do you have any questions?
I don't. I don't, Mr. Chairman. We spent a significant amount of time the other day talking about all this. But I do want to point out one thing that Brian and his team brought up. You know, my favorite topic is the fiscal sustainability study. And all of these assessments that the governance folks are going to do, they're looking at it. One of the lenses that they're going to look at that through is what's the fiscal impact? Can we do this better, smarter? So I really appreciate, Brian, you leaning into that,
Thank you.
because I think that's going to be the secret sauce of all this stuff. So
That was a
for you.
concern and the subject matter most people brought up when they brought up their topics.
Okay. Can I get a motion for consideration and approval of 2026 governance and audit risk universe heat map?
So moved.
Second, thanks, Andrew. There being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect there are no nays and it passes unanimously.
Thank you
Thanks a
very
lot.
much.
Okay, next is action item A4, and that is consideration and approval of the 5-year capital plan update. And Brooke Thomas, Chief Development Officer, will make that presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Evening, Board of Directors. Brooke Thomas, Chief Development Officer. I can't believe it's been a year, but it has. On behalf of the team that worked so tirelessly over much of the year to put this update together, we're requesting that the Board of Directors approve the amended 5-year capital plan as presented. Just by way of background reminder, the capital plan, that narrative document, is a companion document to the 5-year budget summary that the Finance Division prepares and that you all adopt earlier. I think it was in August. It's their 5-year budget summary that governs how much we spend in any given year. This is the document that goes alongside of it that kind of tells the story. In your action memo is a summary of the list of what we think are the most substantive changes to the plan. You may recall that it hasn't changed too much over the last several years, but we have worked to ensure that this program accurately reflects the agency's needs and our budget constraints as we move from one year to the next. There is no fiscal impact or DBE goal for the past 5 or 6 years. We've done this update entirely in-house with involvement from staff from just about every single department. Also my favorite topic, the fiscal sustainability study. We're tracking the progress of that study and are anticipating maybe even needing or wanting to seek professional services, go out, find a consultant to help us do the next update. The reason we're thinking we might want to do that is maybe it's time for a brand new plan, one that takes us from being kind of cost constrained, right? We never spend more than we think we can afford, but we think that Indigo might benefit from having a fixed capital budget. And what I mean by that is we would use what we project as capital revenue, and we would keep our capital budget just to that and not use operating dollars for capital expenses if we can prevent doing that. A lot of that would be to ensure that our operating revenue then is there for service on the street. So tighten our belt, I guess is what I'm saying. With that, thank you so much for your time, and I would be more than happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions from the board?
Brooke, I'm going to get with you later.
You bet.
I don't want to waste much.
I love your edits. I'll take them all.
Okay, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of the 5-year capital plan update?
So moved.
Second? Thanks. There being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Let the record reflect there are It passed unanimously and will go into the record.
Thank you.
Thank you. Action item A5, and that's consideration of approval of Blue Line Change Order Package B for the addition of a station platform coating. Construction Manager Michael Schneider will make the presentation. Hi.
Good afternoon, Director Hahn and members of the board. Thanks for joining today. My name is Mike Schneider, Construction Project Manager of Purple Line, Blue Line, and anything local. So a little bit of everything, I guess. Today I bring to you adding a polyasparatic station coating to each one of our BRT platforms. It is recommended that the Board of Directors authorize the President and CEO to execute a contract change order with F.A. Wilhelm Construction Company, who is the prime of our Package B contract, for an amount not to exceed $564,368 to add the station platform coating at each BRT station. This will increase our new contract value to $35,427,602.54. Now, during design and pre-construction, the staff has identified the need for additional protective measures at each one of our BRT stations. As a matter of fact, this polyasparatic coating, the same material was a late addition to the Red Line and Purple Line stations. Its benefits have been great so far. We've had years and years, I'm not sure when Red Line ends, Jenny would know better than I was, but 7 years ago or so, and the platform coating is still going great. It was added to the Purple Line, I want to say about 1.5 years ago, and it's holding up well, no chipping, and we've been really happy with it so far. Several other benefits. First and foremost, it protects the platform from weather exposure and physical damage. Ergo, it enhances the durability of all of our platforms and reduces maintenance costs. So at the top of each platform, just for a little background, there is a thinner layer of concrete we call the topping slab. Directly below that, there is a heat trace system. This heat trace system is activated at 36 degrees or below and also has a moisture sensor on there. Essentially, it's to keep any ice or moisture or rain buildup and enhance passenger safety. If the concrete gets damaged and we have to patch that concrete, it's not as easy as just patching a sidewalk because you have the heat trace system there. So you almost have to hire a contractor that is knowledgeable about the heat trace system, assuming they don't hit it, and maybe you wouldn't know until the next winter. Then you would have to go back and do it over and over again, and it just costly repairs add up. On top of that, we do have a contractor that is supposed to clean each station. As you know, grime builds up, whatever else ends up on the stations and graffiti. This will make it a lot easier to remove any grime and improve the appearance of each station. For fiscal impact, this work will be funded from the Blue Line project contingency budget. The DB Eagle is 5%, and I'm not expecting any sort of change on that goal. I'd be happy to open it up for questions.
Any questions? Now, will this be part of a contract of whoever's doing this work now?
F.A. Wilhelm, that's why it doesn't.
Wilhelm?
Yeah, it doesn't affect the DB Eagle at all, so they'll
Okay.
take it in-house.
Thank you. Well, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of Blue Line Change Order Package B?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect there's a unanimous vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Action item A6 is consideration of approval to execute a contract, excuse me, with Centus Corporation for leasing uniforms, shop towels, and floor mats. Director of Preventive Maintenance and Repairs, Thorino Blade, will present.
All right, good afternoon, Chair and board member. My name is Chano Balde. I'm the Preventive Maintenance Director at Indigo, and I'm pleased to present action item A6 here. It is a recommendation for the Board of Directors to authorize the President, Chief Executive Officer to execute a 2-year contract with Centus Corporation to provide the employee uniform rental services for Indianapolis public transportation. And the total cost for this agreement will not exceed $360,900 and include uniform rental as well as towel and floor mat services. For the background, This agreement will support eligible IPTC employee through several departments, such as the maintenance, the facility, the fleet service, as well as the treasury and the part of the procurement, the storeroom. And these services provided under this contract include uniform rental, laundering, maintenance, replacement, and proper sizing, along with towel and floor mat rental services for IPTC facilities. I want to note here that these services are required under Section 17 of the collective bargaining agreement with ATU, and also are critical for the professional appearance of our employees, the safety as well as cleanliness and hygiene throughout our operations. So for the discussion under this agreement, Centers will provide 156 uniform for 156 employees, union employees, as well as uniform, the fire retardant uniform for 39 employees. So each employee will have a set of 11 uniform, also 2 jackets. So under this contract, it includes also, it covers loss uniform and damaged uniform during the contract. So Centers was selected through a competitive procurement process. We use the Indiana State QPA, and which is in full compliance with IPTC procurement policy and procedure. So on the table I present below, you see the detailed cost for those services, the rental, and as well as the mat and towel services. So the fiscal impact is will be coming from the approved operating budget. For the XBE, does not qualify, this contract does not qualify for DBXB participation as being a state QPA procurement through a special procurement. So that's the end, and I'll be pleased to answer if you have any question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Fair enough? Okay. Can I get a motion for consideration and approval to execute a contract with Centos for leasing uniforms, shop towels, and floor mats?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All those, there being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Let the record reflect that there was unanimous vote. Thank you very much. Next is action item A7, consideration and approval of anti-drug and alcohol misuse policy revisions. And Brian Clem, our Director of Risk and Safety, will make that presentation.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. My name is Brian Clem, Director for Risk and Safety. Bring for you today, our recommendation for Board of Directors to authorize our President and CEO to approve updates and revisions for our 2026 IPTC drug and alcohol misuse policy. If approved, the policy will be in effect as of February 1st of 2026. A little bit of background on this action item. The drug and alcohol policy is required and reviewed and updated periodically as regulations change or made within the program. The program is governed by the Federal Transit Administration, Department of Transportation, DOT, under CFR 49, Part 40, and Section 655. The board is required to approve amendments to the policy when there is a change, and then we communicate out to our employees of that change, and then move forward with the new policy with new hires. Some discussion points on this. The board last approved their drug and alcohol policy and adopted it in July of 2023. Proposed revisions to the 2026 policy include streamlining our pre-employment testing for only those employees performing safety-sensitive functions. Employees in non-safety sensitive positions will continue to be subject to drug and alcohol testing if involved in any on-the-job vehicle accidents or upon reasonable suspicion if warranted. The 2026 revision policy includes a table in the back of our program plan that clearly defines positions that perform safety-sensitive functions. Fiscal impact on the action item, there's a marginal positive change that would impact our budget, estimated to be around $4,200 of savings per year. The DBE and XBE, a goal for a policy change here is non-applicable. That brings me to the end of my report. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions if you have.
Any questions from the board? Okay. Can I get a motion for consideration and approval of anti-drug and alcohol misuse policy revisions?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there being a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Let the let the record reflect that it's a unanimous vote and passes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Okay. Next is action item A8, and this is consideration and adoption of resolution number 2026-1, acquisition of real estate interest from the city for the Blue Line. And our Chief Legal Officer, Bob Fry, will make that presentation.
Good afternoon, Board. Bob Fry, Chief Legal Officer. I'm here to recommend that the Board adopt resolution number 2026-01, approving the acquisition of certain real estate interests from the city of Indianapolis necessary for the Blue Line Bus Rapid Transit Project. So as some of you may recall, last year you adopted an ordinance allowing us to purchase properties that we needed for the Blue Line. Among that list of properties you approved for acquisition were 5 parcels from the city of Indianapolis. And when I say parcels, we're not taking entire parcels. We're talking about small slivers along the frontage of the road for either temporary easements needed for construction or permanent right-of-way. Any of those parcels that are permanent right-of-way will be transferred to the City Department of Public Works at the end of the project, just like we did with blue and purple. However, by statute, a transfer or exchange of real estate interests between 2 political subdivisions or agencies thereof has to be approved by the governing bodies of each agency, by those bodies adopting substantially similar resolutions. So therefore, we have before you today Resolution 2026-01 to approve the acceptance of these properties from the city. There's a list of the property addresses attached to your resolution. Presuming that you do adopt this today, myself and probably Matt Duffy or members of his staff will then attend the various board meetings of the city to answer any questions they may have. If you look at the list, we have 2 parcels from the Department of Metropolitan Development. So we'll be going to the Metropolitan Development Commission, 1 from the fire department. So that's the Public Health and Safety Board. And then we need 2 from the Parks Department. So we'll be going before the Parks Board too here in the coming weeks, again, presuming that you adopt this resolution. So with that, I can try to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from the board? Okay, thanks, Bob. Can I get a motion for consideration and adoption of resolution number 2026-01? Just saying, acquisition of real estate interests from the city for the Blue Line.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Because this item involves the adoption of a resolution, there must be a roll call vote. So I will ask our Chief Legal Officer, Bob Fry, to call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Directors, please indicate your vote on the present motion when I call your name. Director Smith, Director Slash,
Aye.
Director Fagan,
Aye.
Director Wilson,
Aye.
Director Hahn.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Okay, thanks, Bob. You're up next as well. Action item A9, consideration and adoption of resolution number 2026-02, approval of updated bylaws by the Mobility Advisory Committee. And Bob, you want to go through that for us?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bob Fry again, Chief Legal Officer. And I'm here to recommend that the board adopt resolution number 2026-02, approving updated bylaws of the board's Mobility Advisory Committee, or otherwise known as the MAC. So the MAC is an advisory committee of the board established to represent and advocate for individuals with disabilities within the Indigo service area. The MAC consists of 11 members appointed by this board, 6 of whom must reside in the service area, 3 which represents agencies, businesses, or nonprofits that provide services to individuals with disabilities within our service area, and 2 who represent employers in the service area with a demonstrated commitment to hiring and supporting the needs of individuals with disabilities. So the MAC's bylaws had not been updated in many years. I couldn't tell you how long. They predate me. But members of the MAC, particularly Chairman Chris Hollingsworth, began asking months ago to update the bylaws. And I worked on updating them and communicated back and forth with Chris. And to my knowledge, the MAC is okay with what we've come up with. They definitely had input into it. A copy of those bylaws are attached to Resolution 02 that's before you. So with that, I can try to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions of Bob on action item A9? Okay, if not, can I get a motion for consideration and adoption of resolution number 2026-02? Can I get a second? All right. Because this item involves the adoption of a resolution, there must be a roll call vote. So I'd ask our Chief Legal Officer, Robert Fry, to do the roll call.
Thank you again. Directors, please indicate your vote on the present motion when I call your name. Director Smith?
Aye.
Director Slash?
Aye.
Director Fagan? Director Wilson?
Aye.
Director Hahn?
All right.
Motion carries.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Next is action item A10, and that's consideration of approval of updated tuition reimbursement policy. And our Chief People Officer, Brett Griffin, will make the presentation.
Great. Good afternoon, directors. Brett Griffin, Chief People Officer. Recommendation today is that we recommend that the Board of Directors approve an updated tuition reimbursement policy for the IPTC employees. To provide a little background, IPTC has long offered tuition reimbursement to support the professional development, educational advancements, and career growth of IPTC employees. Those requests are for reimbursements cost for attending accredited colleges, courses, or certificate programs. Courses must be aligned with the support of IPTC core business and the employee's current duties and future opportunities within IPTC. To provide a little bit more background, the existing policy was last updated in August of 2018 and limits the amount of reimbursement to $2,650 for undergrad courses and $4,000 for graduate courses per fiscal year with a lifetime cap of $10,600. For undergraduate courses, and $8,000 for graduate courses. Discussions. Considering that the policy has not been updated since 2018, we really felt the time was now that we take a look at what we can do to present in front of you opportunities for us for approval to come up with a new policy. So it's recommended that the board approve an update to the tuition reimbursement policy to increase the limits of reimbursement to $6,000 per fiscal year and a $12,000 lifetime, no matter if the courses are undergrad or graduate. These increases will align with the average increase of tuition among state colleges and universities that occurred between 2018 and 2025. So we did some research and found that we were a little bit behind and really feel that we, by updating our tuition reimbursement policy, this will also give our employees an opportunity to continue their education, but also help us attract and retain talent as well. So I'm opening up for questions that you may have.
Any questions from the board?
Yes. Is this being used effectively? I mean, do we have numbers on the status of the funds itself?
Yes, so we looked at the last few years and found that we roughly have anywhere between 5 to 10 employees who've taken advantage of the current reimbursement policy. But we also believe that by increasing the amounts of the reimbursement program, tuition reimbursement program, this would increase the amount of employees who would actually use it, considering that we're quite a few years behind of other agencies and other organizations here locally.
Okay. Is it a proactive approach
Yes, it is.
encouraging employees to?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Once we update the policy, the next thing we'll do is we will communicate that to our employees to let them know that we've updated the policy, and we'll encourage them to pursue higher education and offer them those other college opportunities as well, and other opportunities as it relates to certification programs and so on.
Okay.
I think you answered my question, Britt, but I just want to make sure that I'm clear on it.
Sure.
So this is not just for undergraduate and graduate college
Mhm.
courses. This could also be used by our technicians or someone to get an ASC certification or some other professional certification within the confines of their work requirement?
That's correct.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure.
Brett, when somebody does this, which I think this is a wonderful program,
Mhm.
do they have to write the check themselves and then they turn it in for reimbursement?
Yeah, there's an approval process that we go through. One of the first things we want to do is make sure that the course is aligned with Indigo, with their job and also the work that they've been doing here. It goes through an actual process, which is approved by several different people in the organization. And then that money is then reimbursed to the employee once they receive their grades and turn that back in. So we already have a policy on it, it just hasn't been updated. But they do receive reimbursement back for those funds, yes.
Okay, I didn't quite understand. So they have to finish the course before they get reimbursed?
That is correct.
Okay.
That's acceptably, I mean, it's got to be a passing grade.
That is
Everything-
correct,
You just
yes.
can't take the F and, okay.
That is great.
They made directors too.
Great.
If I may, directors too, the funds can be used for like books too, or items like that that have to be purchased for a course. But again, it is a reimbursement after the fact.
Sure where they got how it worked.
And then also, I don't think it's really covered in the memo, but just so you know, there's also sort of a promise that they'll stay for at least 1 year
That's correct.
and a payback schedule if they don't.
Okay, thanks, Bob. All right, can I get a motion for consideration and approval of updated tuition reimbursement policy?
So moved.
In a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Not hearing any nays. This passes unanimously.
All right.
Thanks a
thank you.
lot, Brett. Information items, item number 5, and this is information items, item number 5, and this is item number I1 is the finance report, and that's presented by our CFO, Mr. Bart Brown.
Actually, sir, because this is the end of the year, we always take the month of January to close the year, so our December won't be ready until February.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was my mistake, Mr. Chair, putting that in your script.
Item I2.
Thank you, Grand Director and members of the board. Mike again. I bring to you today an information update about a couple of executed change orders for the Blue Line project. As you recall, as part of this construction, we have 3 separate packages. Package A is all of the roadway and sewer and traffic light improvements with grade X as the prime. Package B for all of our station improvements with FH Wilhelm as the prime. And package C is our East Side Mobility Hub with R.L. Turner as the prime. Today I have 2 to present to you, 1 for package A and 1 for package C. Starting with package A, since the construction began, additional work was identified to address different design refinements, unforeseen circumstances in the field, and any additional improvements necessary for compliance with project specs and operational requirements post-construction. The total amount for this change order is $246,112.14, which increases our project contract amount to $208,021,515.51. Now, there is a litany of different items, 41 in total, just to get some high points of what's included. Feel free if you would like more specifics, I'd be happy to send it to you. But high level, it's a lot of MOT changes and signal changes for pedestrian safety and improving traffic flow both during and after construction, the elimination of emergency vehicle preemption equipment, and drainage revisions throughout the entire corridor. Near the zoo, we had inlet revisions, downtown, quite a few revisions to inlets as well, and changes to a barrel section near Shadeland that was needed due to constructability reasons. These modifications are essential to the project to meet regulatory requirements and ensure that the improvements will function as needed post-construction. I'm happy to answer any questions for package A before moving on to package C.
Any questions? Okay. Next is item I3, and that's the Blue Line change order update, Pogues Run Tunnel Project. Again, Michael.
Oh, Michael had a little bit more left. He on the first one, so.
A little bit more,
If he can share that, that would be great. Thanks.
I could be quick.
You're good.
So again, for package C, different design changes, a lot of owner requested changes. That's a majority of this change order, as well as utility requirements and some permitting that was needed to be changed for a total of $227,080.34, which increases our contract amount to $6,407,954.34. Another high-level overview, I wanted to include that there were 5 design changes at no cost to the contract. We needed to install a sump pump, which needed electricity and a meter valve. Again, the owner and other quantity revisions for a total of $201,602.76. And a lot of those were minor. They just added up. Nothing I would consider major. Just a lot of different changes as we looked at the plans and decided to change things. And different plan clarifications for permits for just shy of $20,000. Happy to answer questions about package C as well.
Any questions? Okay. Now we'll move to
Sure.
Blue Line change order update on Pogues Run Tunnel Project.
So this pertains to maintenance repairs that were made for the Pogues Run Tunnel, which runs underneath Indianapolis, if you're not familiar with it. At a cost of $176,411, at the end of October, we did perform preventative maintenance using Beatty Construction, who is a sub to Gradex, the prime for package A. We had done an initial pre-construction walkthrough about 1/3 of a mile into the tunnel, and what we had discovered was that it was in diminished condition and sporadic locations throughout the tunnel. Even on our walk, we could see exposed rebar, concrete missing, concrete chipping away, and some of that chipping was probably due to water infiltration. The severity of these conditions were not picked up during initial design. The biggest issue in the red flag that was raised was, if you can picture the intersection of College and Washington, there is a bridge right in the middle. Unlucky for us, the area where we're working is almost directly under the vicinity of that bridge pier, and the work we were doing was cutting 2 large holes for storm sewer right under where that pier is and the pour ceiling was. So luckily, we do have several consultants involved in this project. We did refer to them for structural engineering to look into it. They said we should be fine to proceed, but just in case, we wanted to get with DPW, control the narrative, and say, if we're here, let's do some preventative maintenance. This problem was not going to go away, especially with the water leaking through. So most of my pictures, I'll show you a couple later, you can see water kind of dripping down. And I mean, while we were there, I figured it was best for the project and best for the city to perform this maintenance. A total of 350 square feet of bad concrete was removed and replaced with a shotcrete. If you're not familiar with shotcrete, it's kind of like a cement mixture that you can use on vertical spaces and overhead spaces. Luckily for us, we didn't need to replace any rebar, so there was no structural impairs. Mostly it was cosmetic to stop the water from coming through and prevent any issues in the future. Addressing the issues now, prevent future service interruptions, reduces, again, the risk of water infiltration, and avoids significant costly repairs later. You can imagine, worst case scenario with the bridge pier there, all the traffic at that intersection, it could have been fairly serious for the city and Indigo. We want to move on to some pictures since I'm not great at painting pictures with my words. You scroll down a little bit. So this is during our pre-construction walkthrough, myself, the CM team, and the contractor. I will preface this by saying this is not our location. This was on the walk to our location, but it was sporadic through the 1/3 of a mile or so. We had to walk. Ours wasn't quite as bad, so we didn't have rebar hanging down, luckily. But you can see the condition of the rebar, concrete missing, and some, looks like calcified water where it had been dripping for who knows how long. The next picture will show you what our location looks like now. Using the shotcrete equipment, we were able to blend it in fairly nicely. You can see the two gentlemen in the back. In one of our storm sewer pipes, that is a 66-inch concrete storm sewer pipe. This is one of the major outfalls that we use Pogues Run for drainage from College in Washington to the eastern corridor of the project. So it's a fairly significant area for our work. We also installed a second pipe a few feet away. You can imagine cutting those big holes in there. You'd want to do your exploration structurally. So could have been a critical issue for construction. Luckily, we did miss that, but we decided to go ahead and do these improvements anyways. Happy to answer any questions. I feel like the pictures helped me walk you guys through that, but
I have a question. So
sure.
who has to pay for that?
We paid for it as part of the project. We wanted to control the narrative, getting anyone else involved. We had to have this done in order to do other sewer equipment or sewer work.
Okay, what about the picture with the rebar hanging down and all that?
That's the one up.
So is that one we had to fix it? We didn't have to fix it?
Just the one area within our work vicinity.
Okay.
So in our third of a mile walk, we noticed several instances of this happening, and I'm sure there's plenty more, maybe even worse. I'm not sure how long Pogues Run is, but I hear it's pretty significant. So there are issues under there, not necessarily Indigo's responsibility, but since this was in the vicinity of our work and we were investigating it for structural issues, we felt like it was best practice to coordinate with DPW and take care of it as part of the project.
Any other questions?
That wouldn't have any impact on the Indigo project at all, the city DPW stuff there?
No.
Okay.
This was near, I believe, Market Street. That's where we entered, surface level entrance of the tunnel.
Okay.
Mike, you might not be able to answer this question. I'm not even sure if I'm asking it right, but when you say we only were responsible for fixing things in our general area where we had to make these ingresses to the tunnel, but you said we're not responsible for this kind of stuff that's in this picture. What happens if that fails? Is there an impact to us if that portion of the tunnel fails?
This would be north of Washington Street outside of our construction limits. My understanding is that we would not be able to use any kind of funding for anything outside of our construction limits. And don't quote me on that, that's my understanding of it. This is far off of where we would be riding buses.
But if there's a structural failure within the tunnel, it's not going to affect our ability to run the blue line down Washington. Okay, good, thanks.
Who's supposed to fix this then?
It belongs to DPW, I believe. So this tunnel, my understanding for when we originally looked at it, again, don't quote me, was the tunnel and CSX built it in conjunction in this area and was handled off to DPW at some point for them to maintain the tunnel. That's my understanding.
And Micah, would it be correct to say that we have alerted DPW to the problem now?
We worked,
They are aware.
yeah, we worked with them that we were going to do the improvements and what the condition of the tunnel is. But again, opening that can of worms could cost quite a bit of money. So I'm sure it was sporadic on the third of a mile walk in, and I'm sure it's maybe even worse other places.
Yeah, I mean, I spent 10 years on the library when that all failed, the garage. And that's exactly what it looked like when we took the forms off.
Yeah.
With rebar hanging down, concrete missing.
It could have been a critical, to date, the biggest and hopefully the biggest critical construction risk that we have run into had there been structural issues.
Yeah.
Between schedule and money and whatever else, especially with the bridge pier there. That's why the group of engineers down there, their hair stood up and said, let's get someone in here that knows structural work, but it turned out well for us.
Okay.
This is why my degree is in political science and not engineering.
Yeah, I think I have one now. All right. Any other questions? Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Presentation. Scary, you're right. Okay, item I4 is the announcement of nominations for board officers for the 2026 term presented by Bob Fry.
Good afternoon, Directors. Bob Fry, Chief Legal Officer. So at your meeting last month on December 18th, I kind of walked through the process that we laid out for board election offices, which your bylaws require to be done in February of each year to elect a chair, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. Nominations were accepted by me in writing up until 12 o'clock noon on January 9th. And I can announce today that I received 6 nomination forms, and every one of them nominated the exact same people to the exact same office. Therefore, we don't really have to have an election for each office. We'll just, in February, you'll vote on this. It's a slate, right? Because everybody nominated the same. So, and that slate is laid out there in your memo, and it's the same officers as 2025. So that's the update, and we'll have an agenda item right after approval of the minutes in February for you to approve that slate of officers.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Well, that's the end of our agenda, and want to thank everybody for being here. We're looking forward to 2026. It's a lot going on. One thing I want to call on Cam Radford. He has a little information I think that we all want to hear that came in just a little while ago.
Nothing like throwing him under the bus, Mr. Chairman.
No, he's always prepared.
And we don't like to use that term, throwing under the bus. No, hi, yeah, real quick, Cam Radford, Chief Government Affairs Officer. Yeah, we were happy to get news today that federal government's going to be funding some, has awarded Indigo funding for some fleet replacement buses. So just got the email right before the meeting started. So neighborhood of $14 million coming our way. So I know Annette and her team are going to have fun with that. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thought that'd be a good way to end our meeting. And only thing I gotta add is go IU. I know it's hard for some of the Purdue folks, but but you're gonna be there in basketball again. So, all right. Okay. Thank you all very much. Take care. Yeah.
Guys, if you're welcome to leave, we have a Board of Finance meeting really quick after, so feel free to stick around for that too.
Oh, I think so.
Yep. Yep. All that.
Okay. I'm gonna wait a minute. Okay. Okay. So we gotta let people exit. No, I don't know if I told you or not. I spent 10 years. Looks unbelievable. 50, 69. And I got a call. They said you gotta get that. Yeah. And it said, yeah, so if we're taking the form, they start taking the forms. And search our means for the garage. And a lot of them don't even have any. And they just were rebar and nothing else. It said the whole place is gonna fall in if we don't do. So we got on the phone, started calling people. Huh? 10 years of litigation. Because we had to sue, we had to. Thornton Thomas City, you know them, they're the largest steel engineering firm in the world. They did the World Trade Building, they've done all the buildings in Dubai. And they put a union person in charge of architect, engineering, whatever she was. And she got runs. And she never did, and she's totally miscalculated. And so instead of, well, I mean, I would have done the same thing. Huh? Yeah, well, that's it. That's what people. We had. January 15th. I can do that. And this is our Board of Finance meeting. And we would like to call to order and do a roll call. Would you please do that, Bob?
Yes, directors, please indicate your attendance when I call your name. Director Smith, Director Slash,
Aye, are here.
Director Fagan,
Here.
Director Wilson, Director Hahn,
Present.
quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We'll go to the regular agenda, and we have one item on the agenda, and that's action item A1. And it's for consideration and approval of the Board of Finance recommendations. And that will be presented by our Chief Financial Officer, Bart Brown.
Chairman Bart Brown, CFO for Indigo. For the next 2 hours, strike that. For the next 5 minutes, we'll quickly go over our annual review of our investments and the revenue we've earned. Last year, we did take a hard look at the investment policy, and we did make some changes. Every year, the board has the opportunity to amend our policy. There are no recommendations from staff this year to amend. So what we can do, if you all have the letter or the memo about our investments, and again, by IC Section 513 requires that each fiscal body hold in January a Board of Finance meeting. And the second page is just the summary of what we can go over really quick. We always present the average bank balances by each financial institution that hold any of our public funds, and then the averages of those balances by fund. And then finally, the most important and exciting is the average return on investment. So at the bottom, you see that our investment earnings for 2025 was $12,089,725, which represents an average for the year of 3.5%. I'm sure most of you heard over the news, the Fed did reduce rates 3 times last year. So we started around 4% and it worked down, but 3.5% is still a good return. Of that 12 million, about 4 million was earned by our bond proceeds that we have invested that we're spending down for the Blue Line and other projects. That money can only be used to pay off debt. So we'll keep that in the bond proceeds fund, and then at the end, it will go toward the very last bond payment when we pay off those bonds. The 8 million, though, can go into the general fund for whatever purposes the board decides. It also it covers the 10% requirement that in state statute of non-fares, non-tax revenue. Last year, we needed to raise 3 million. We hit that by 2 or 3 times this year. Well, when I report in February that for 2025, this 8 million will cover more than 10%. So we also had a spreadsheet. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but it shows every bank and every month. So if you ever want to sit down and talk to myself or Cesar Bermudez about any of our investments, we do meet with our advisors every quarter. And at those meetings, we talk about how much of cash that we might need to draw down in order to pay bills. We haven't done that much. I think last year we drew down 5 million. And then we talk about, again, looking at the investment policy, what's best to embed depending on what the yields are at that time. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Any questions? Okay. Can I get a motion for?
Mr. Chair, because there were no recommendations to change anything, I don't think you need to approve anything except for receiving the report. You're just receiving the report. You don't need a motion to approve anything because we're not changing anything. You can just announce that it's without objection, it's made part of the record. Yeah.
Objections? Approved. Thank you. That's also on our agenda, I believe, correct? So we're adjourned. Thank you.
That was, yeah.
Threw me a curveball here. I was supposed to do.